All right, cool. Yeah, no,
Cool,
I
cool.
definitely I'll want to record some episodes next year. I'll
Yeah, I
reach
was
out
about
to
to
y'all.
say, yeah, just anything that looks interesting that you want to talk about, let us know.
I just need to get off that weekly grind.
I hear you.
Yeah. Well, right when the slump's about to happen, now you get to pick and choose. Must be
Mhm,
nice.
mhm.
Yep, exactly. Y'all
How
have
to
to
leave
carry it
this
from
world
here.
behind.
You need to recruit Kyle back in.
You ever notice that when TVD starts to slow down, suddenly TV dudes don't want to be dudes anymore? Must be fucking nice.
Fucking nice. When I was a kid, didn't have enough TV to do a podcast every week. Now you got so much TV, you just be skipping episodes.
Must be fucking nice.
Episode number 467 of the TV Dudes, recorded December 30th, 2023.
What if?
Hey, I'm Les,
And I'm Nick.
and we're the TV Dudes.
We're the TV dudes. I mean, we're one
Well-
less, but we're still the dudes.
I mean, in fairness, we've always been one less, and one Nick, and one Randy.
One more.
At least for a while. Yeah. But we've been missing Randy. This past week, we've been searching like crazy for him all through time. I feel like he's probably still lost somewhere in the 80s, maybe the mid 90s by now. Basically, we haven't seen him since our Quantum Leap excursion into 1987, which was a great episode, but may have lost Randy in time. Nick, you've been suffering through a ton of Cheers episodes, hoping to catch a glimpse of him. Anything so far?
I mean, I now know where a place where everybody knows your name. They, in fact, do not know a Randy, as far as I can tell.
And they would. I mean, they are that place. Like,
Right.
I think they'd know. We'll keep looking. Maybe if he gets himself into some trouble, he'll be in night court. We're going to start combing through some obscure stuff. In the meantime, Nick and I watched the latest season of What If, and we have some thoughts on that. But first, it's time for TV Diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Nick, I was out of town, as you know. I basically caught little pieces of Christmas movie standards in between small talk, some Bob's Burgers Xmas episodes, things like that. What did you watch?
Yes, so I watched, obviously, some Christmas specials and stuff. One notable one was Jim Henson's River.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, which
Emmett
I showed
Otter's-
you. Yes.
Which I thought was very fun. I've seen it on bloopers for Jim Henson Productions, but I've never actually watched it. And Peacock's got it of all.
Of course, because
things.
streaming rights are fucking insane. Yeah. Yeah, you learned what happens when you put a hole in the wash tub,
Mm-hmm.
and about the one and only bathing suit that Grandma Otter wore.
Right.
Oh, and then we watched the Muppet Family Christmas.
Right. That's right. Where it's actually a big crossover with not only do the Muppets show up at Fozzie Bear's mom's house, so do the Sesame Street characters and the Fraggle Rock.
Yes. Yes. Mind the Ice Patch. Everybody shows up, like everybody, and they sing like 30 songs.
Yeah. I do love that they're like just counting at some point, like the count is just counting this is just kind of small talk where we come from.
Right.
Or like oh sorry, what letter does that start with? B or sorry, what are we doing here?
Like, it's just, you're making small talk. Yeah, you're stuck at a party making small talk with the Sesame Street gang. It's all letters and numbers. Like the Fraggles have their magic pebble.
Right. And I love that there's just a door to the of course there's a door to the Fraggle Rock here.
Yeah, of course all these like multiverses are just connected.
But I also watched all the Christmas episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine because I watched all of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Nice.
rewatch.
It's always the season. 'Tis always the season to rewatch all of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Tis is. And yeah, it's interesting to see some of the things that they continue with and drop. Like every once in a while they mention stuff that they drop before, like Rose's dog Arlo. Like, yeah, I never bring Arlo. Like, I don't know why they always bring Chitter in. I never bring Arlo in. Who exactly? I'm like, oh yeah, that
Right.
one episode where she got a dog and we never mentioned it again.
Yeah, but they also, but like we do go to Rose's apartment at one point, which I mean, she has to burn that location afterwards, but Arlo's definitely not there. There's no dog.
Oh no, there's no dog. Then again, it could just be her cover thing, like. But also, like when Charles brings his dogs in or whatever, they bring in 2 Rottweilers that Holt gave him to him in the previous seasons, like, and then like they keep consistent. There's some things they keep consistent on. And then there's some things of like, hey, do you remember that Jake has a half sister?
Oh yeah, that's like a klepto weirdo. Not a klepto, but she's insane.
That doesn't get invited to the wedding apparently.
Right.
Like to their wedding.
Holy shit! Does that mean that the rookie stays more consistent with Pete Davidson as his half brother? Then
I mean,
because yeah, she shows up and they take her to the Empire State Building and she tries to put glass in her food to get it free. Let me pay for dinner. Hang on. Like she gets out that Ziploc bag of glass.
Rookie's also picky, is pick and choose about what is consistent. Like, remember how, you can barely tell that Nathan Fillion and their Amy, Lucy Chen basically dated. Like, they fucked. And
that's
like,
right.
oh yeah,
that's right. Chen was
they
in love
pretend
with
that
you.
didn't happen.
Yes. Tim definitely pretends that didn't happen.
So, but yeah, they bring back Jake's dad a lot rather than the sister.
Yeah. Which, I mean, Bradley Whitford's fucking great, so it's hilarious every time.
It could just be that they definitely pick and choose. Like there's episodes that just keep coming back. Like they obviously they love the Pontiac Bandit. They love the heist episodes. They love Madeline Wunsch. Like there's a consistency that
she'll be Wunsch meat.
And I think they see that they look at each season and what do fans respond to the most. And I'm sure it also happens to be which guest stars they like to work with the most.
Yeah.
As far as a sure production. But yeah, that was basically my TV diaries.
Oh, shit. I also showed you Turbo Teen, which I believe was formerly in your mind the thing that Rick and Morty mentioned that once. And for me, it's that thing that scarred the fuck out of me on USA Cartoon Express. So I found some USA Cartoon Express on YouTube, just a block of it with all the commercials.
It was all the commercials. It was basically like what I did with Toonami that one.
That's what made me think of it, I think. And then fast forwarded to the Turbo Teen part, which is real. This existed. This happened.
Yeah. A teen gets into a part of an experiment with his car and can now become the car at any point.
But I think it's like honestly, we watched an episode of it, and it's insane. I believe when he gets hot or cold, it is when he transforms.
When he gets wet.
I couldn't tell if it's wet or if it's because the water made him colder.
I don't know, man. He it seems like it's whenever he gets. When he exercises, he turns. And then he gets, I don't know, man. It's fucking some Ranma 1/2 bullshit.
Nah, it's heat and cold. Yes, when he gets cold, he turns human. When he gets hot, he becomes a rod. That's not what it says in the wiki, but it's true. Yeah, his name is Brett Matthews. He swerves off the road during a thunderstorm and crashes into a secret government laboratory. There, he and his red sports car are accidentally exposed to a molecular beam. I mean, everything's molecular, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And his girlfriend, Patty, and his best friend, Alex, who calls Brett TT. Way to fuck up my secret identity, weirdo.
Well, yeah, because he also has a secret identity as the Turbo Teen, who, is apparently, people don't realize, people realize that, do they think that someone's driving the car? They don't, when he does his heroic shit, there's no one ever in the car.
Yeah, the overall villain in the series is the Dark Rider, who is not like Dexter, but it's a recurrent villain that drives a monster truck and is trying to capture.
That's a dark passenger. He's in the passenger side.
Yeah. No, this guy is. Well, it says Rider, but he's really driving the monster truck, and tries to capture Brett to find out the secret behind his abilities. Voiced by the famous Frank Welker. Yeah, he turns into a Pontiac Trans Am. Or a Camaro kind of amalgam bullshit car. Yeah, it's it is one of the weirdest. There's something about his transformation. I know they were going for like an American Werewolf in London thing where he like throws his fists out and like wolfs out. It's weird, man. Like his whole butt just kind of like spreads into the back end of this car, and like his
face comes over the grid. Like it truly is something like of a horror short story, I believe. Like,
yeah. It is seriously some weird like Cronenberg body horror, Kafka type shit. He turns into his car, and so I subjected Nick to Turbotine, which turns out would not be the weirdest car transformation thing that we would watch this past week. This feels like a good time to mention. You can support the TV Dudes over at patreon.com/tvdudes. And this week we will be talking about Van-Pires. Am I saying that right?
Van-Pires, yes.
That's what, yes. Van-Pires. A bunch of kids that turn into vans or cars and in their carfins, and then they have to drink the fuel blood of innocent cars. And also fight other vampires. This is a real show, people. This is a real show that we found when we were looking for Randy throughout time. I believe this is in the 1997 section, and we're going to talk about it over at patreon.com/thetv-dudes. For just $1 an episode, you can hear us talk about Van-Pires. If you don't know about Van-Pires, I'm just going to keep saying Van-Pires until this enters the pop culture. And that buck will help us pay for streaming services we watch, hosting costs we incur, things like that, as we provide snarky commentary week to week for you.
Absolutely. And also there is a higher level you can go to. Since Randy has lost the time, I figured it might be fun to bring back into more prominence the showrunner level, in which you pay $20 just one time. So it's charged at one time per month. You don't have to pay $20 like for each episode, but one-time payment of $20, and you get to choose the programming for that week. You choose the episode choose the TV show we have to cover. Yes,
we will watch at least 4 episodes, more if we like it, but bare minimum, we will watch 4 episodes of the show of your choice and give our thoughts. 4 episodes ought to be enough that was enough to catch people into Sense8 if you could make it through 4. So I think that's a good amount of time.
Enough to catch people and not quite to understand what's going on in Sense8.
No, God, no. There will never be enough episodes. But this way, I don't want to sign up to watch like 1 million episodes of One Piece. Like, haha, we found the loophole. You're now a One Piece podcast. Like, fuck.
Plus, we already covered One Piece. Oh, you're talking about the anime.
Anime, yeah. Somebody pays $20 and that's all we talk about for the rest of time. That's how they get you. That's how anime gets you.
I would put that off of like, you pay $20, like, hey, and then we'd be like, hey, well, we're still watching it though, and we just never do the episode.
Right.
We could always
we're still watching it. No, I'm in the middle of that. It's like War and Peace. They've started it. Well, this week we watched all the way through the second season of What If?
Space. Reality. It's more than a linear path. It's a prism of endless possibility, where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities, creating alternate worlds from the ones you know. I am the Watcher. I am your guide through these vast new realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
Over on Disney Plus. And they did an episode a day. If I weren't so happy with this season, I would call it a burn off. Like if this were a show that I loved and the network was like, oh, we're just going to give them to you one a day. Like the TV fan in me is like, oh, fuck, man, this show's doomed. But it's Marvel. I mean, who's to say what show's doomed?
Well, I think they wanted the Christmas episode to actually fall on Christmas.
Yeah, I think you're right. Only it was like episode 2 or 3 of the. Did it actually fall on Christmas? Maybe it did. I wasn't watching. I was out of town for part of this, so we just kind of binged through most of them and then realized, shit, they're coming out every day. We've got like 3 more to go.
I'm pretty sure it was like Ep 4 or something, and I think it fell on Christmas, actual Christmas.
Let me pull up the list of episodes.
But yeah, for the release schedule, or I mean, and now in streaming services, like just you drop all of it. If you drop all of it at once, that's not a burn off. That's just a distribution model. But if you do anything less than once a week, I guess is not like.
Yeah,
because I remember
back Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. It did drop on Christmas Eve, and then What If Iron Man Crashed into the Grandmaster was Christmas Day.
All right,
but yeah, it fell on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve seems like appropriate because that it's set during Christmas Eve, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you also, I mean, that's perfect. That's great.
I think, like the previous model of cable and stuff, when things were, they would used to burn stuff off by showing it 2 episodes a week and to burn it off. Which I think was just basically, you were fighting over time slots or whatever. So if you had a show that you knew wasn't going anywhere, you'd burn it off so that you could free up the time slot for something else, like a rerun or something else that might, do better in that particular slot. Yeah. Which is not how really we do things anymore. So I think
you've taken away that constraint.
I think
you're just throwing them up on Disney.
I think it was a split, trying to see if because Disney's shows have been week to week for a while, and I think that helped them with the water cooler talk and keeping them in the zeitgeist for a while. Up until Secret Invasion, I think was their last TV show. Loki was their last TV show. My apologies. And Secret Invasion kind of I think lost some talking about it every week seemed to be kind of I mean, we did it, but I think the one a day is kind of you give internet people the time to theorize and stuff in 24 hours or whatever and do whatever they need to on the content, but also you can you're out in a week for what I don't know, for what if it feels appropriate. I don't know why.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, these feel like light. I want to chat about them every day. Kind of, I don't know, they feel perfect for this. Also, it kind of fell in a long weekend for a lot of people. I had heard a lot about the first episode. What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps as this Nebula in a Blade Runner kind of thing? And that sounded a lot cooler than I found it.
I think it's one of the.
That's really not a knock on the episode. I think it was just me going, oh, yeah, rainy noir sci-fi Blade Runner may not be my thing right this second.
It's one of their weaker episodes, and it's one of those things of watching it going forward. I was noticing, I'm like, what do I think works for What If and stories and what doesn't? And What If is a weird series because it violates the rules of its basic premise. Like the What If is the way it's how it's pitched is this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe if something different happened at a certain critical point in time.
Mm-hmm. What if this Doctor Who style fixed point was different?
Right, and that one, it was what if Ronan took out Thanos in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and
that feels patently absurd. It just feels insane.
Well, I mean, you'd have to do I guess did he get the Infinity Gem and then do it? Because I feel like he was jobbed in that Guardians movie by Thanos, but we've seen that before in the What If, Ultron basically lasers Thanos in half, and and it's still one of those things of look, it happened. Okay, we have to get past this point of it, even though it kind of violates some rules we've already set up. And because the Blade Runner-esque one where okay, so Nebula joins the Nova Corps, I guess, because she also betrayed Thanos. So I'm like, that also seems immediately different. There's more stuff during them you can feel okay, so there's more that's different than just this thing that happened.
Right. This is a wildly different universe. I mean, just the Ronin thing already put it in a I know they're what ifs, but they're never this far off. This is a 1 in a bajillion shot that you end up with this. This is fucking nuts.
So what if Tony, when he during the first Avengers, instead of falling back to Earth, he fell into the Grandmaster planet? And I'm like, well, and then he'd have a gladiator fight. Like, no, he'd have a race because now there's death car matches. And I'm like, wait, how did that change?
Right. I mean, it's rad, but I don't know how that all.
And honestly,
like,
you have
whatever, fuck it.
And honestly, it's gonna have to. You have to accept certain things as far as, well, this is what makes things dynamic and cool. So honestly, I just wish that they would kind of like, and it seems like this season they've kind of they still try and go like, what if this certain thing happened, and then still a bunch of other shit seems different. But overall, I think the Blade Runner one has moments of where she just gets Yondu's fin, and I feel like that was a missed scene or written thing of like, wait, they took
she
Yondu's
just
body,
suddenly has it.
and now suddenly later Howard the Duck has it. And I was
unless
like,
I blinked and missed. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I blinked and missed.
well, because they
Usually
showed that
the two of us together don't.
they
totally
showed that
miss
thing
something
of
like
where she shows a recording of Yondu whistling and it activates the arrow, and I'm like, oh, that's very cool and is very aesthetically, this as a detective noir thing, a very detective thing to do. It is also not how we know Yondu's arrow to work, as far as we know how it works.
But that just seems wildly dangerous to go into battle with that arrow if anybody can do it.
At least this is like, okay, so any recording of him whistling can do it. But I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure you need the fin on to do. You know what? Whatever.
Yep.
It's
I
one of
just
those
record
things.
his stop whistle. Whenever he whistles and it stops, just use that bit of the recording.
Also, there's
time.
the I think there's the trope that there's like, oh, it was all part of my plan, and in order for Nebula's plan to work, she had to get the shit kicked out of her. But so the what if's enjoyment is going to depend on your no prizing some stuff away.
Yeah.
How are you, like, in some episodes are better at that than others. What I was surprised by was that during some episodes the emotional elements still really worked,
despite it breakneck pace, like going through them.
Well, they all have to be. They're all trying to accomplish things as far as like they're all calling back to it's the self-referential show. It's to show things that have happened. Like, hey, this is kind of like how it happened before, but it's different now. Like a different character is saying this.
Hey, remember this 3-movie arc you watched? Well, since you watched it, we can compress it and then change everything. And like, yeah, the when they work their best, they're capitalizing on this shorthand they can do of you having already seen the world you expect, and therefore they can subvert a couple of things and get the whole story told in 20-something minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, because
when they don't work, it just feels insane.
Because there's episodes that really
99% of the time.
There's episodes that truly, really work, and I think one of ones that I found surprising was Hela being sent to Earth,
right,
and learning mercy or whatever as a reflection.
Not, based on the title, I did not care about that one. What if Hela found the 10 rings?
Right.
That's she's not my favorite villain. She's cool, but I don't know. I didn't remember her
even
that
then,
great.
that's not that. Even the title is a misnomer. Like the 10 rings come into it, but not that much. It's just to combine another story element so that they can do it in the past and do Thor's story again. And even then, but having Odin and Hela really work out their shit and showing Odin as like, obviously it's a different continuity and we don't know how exactly, again, we've stated how we don't know how much has changed, but that backstory with the Fenris the wolf and him like putting a leash on it and like
oh yeah, man! It more than a bunch of Thor movies in a row. It really made me understand how much of a dick of a father Odin is.
Yeah.
I was like, I get shit. I kind of get why you're mad at him now. Fuck. Yeah. And it actually gave Hela this great arc of her learning mercy. It was really cool. And then to see her come up again in the final episode, I don't know that it's the same Hela exactly, but it made me believe that character in any universe is capable of more change than, like, hey, I've seen another one. It's exactly the stuff that Marvel wants to work about the multiverse. Hey, I've seen you change in another universe. So even though you're the ultimate villain here, I know inside you is the capability.
Capacity.
Yeah, the capacity for change. And that's rad. So the titles of these, we've got obviously What if Nebula joined the Nova Corps? What if Peter Quill attacked Earth's mightiest heroes, which is Ego gets to Peter. Well, Yondu doesn't have the change of heart and hands the kid over. So Ego raises Peter.
Right, which we thought, like, some of these we thought were sequels to, like, I thought that was a sequel to the Star-Lord.
Some are, but they're not.
But then I'm like,
spiritually,
oh, wait,
some of them are.
Chadwick Boseman is you can't do, you'd have to replace, use another voice actor for him, which I thought they would just do, but, so you can't do a sequel to What If T'Challa was Star-Lord. But I do like the old team Avengers, like, you
got Peggy Carter and Howard Stark. They bring in Bill Foster. They bring in T'Chaka, Bucky Barnes. I want more Dr. Wendy Lawson. That was badass. And a very reluctant Hank Pym, and Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Hope Van
And
Dyne.
what they did with Hope and Peter, I thought was like,
again, that was great.
She's listening to a Walkman, and it's like, it's on the like a lot of this stuff is on the nose and fast, but is surprisingly effective in realizing that, they have to they themselves have to no pry stuff away of like, wait, why was Peter attacking the city then if he was just running away from his father? And there's a quick line of dialogue of like, he gets in my head sometimes, like
Well, and when he landed, the military was standing there facing him down, ready to go. I just kind of thought they were going to play into that more, and I was surprised they didn't. That just like, well, he's a kid, and you guys kind of came straight at him.
I also love that Bucky as the Winter Soldier was just very much like, I'll kill a fucking kid, I don't care.
Right. Yeah, this was a one that had a story misstep. They should have they have Howard Stark
talk with Bucky.
Bucky and like be the thing that like helps the Winter Soldier wake up. And that absolutely should have been Peggy in this universe.
And it should be Peggy, and it's not, because Peggy is basically in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and is in the tank with the machine gun, and we want to give her a proactive role.
But she had a radio on her head at that time in that scene, and I was like, I'm wondering if there was literally an argument in the writer's room that I'm not privy to, where someone made my side of it and just somehow lost that debate.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that they wanted her to be proactive because, Peggy Carter is not solving things with words. Peggy Carter is an action woman.
We got to give Howard something to do, so let him talk.
And we got to give Howard something to do because Howard is not an Iron Man. I'm like, I would give him maybe an Iron Man, like him an iron type suit or something.
Right, make him the Ironmonger or something. Yeah.
But also, the
but
rest of
be good.
You're spoiled for Agent Carter in the rest of this. So don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's not that big a deal if I would argue it's not that big a deal if Peggy Carter doesn't get involved in the actual fight. In this one, because we have a lot of Captain Carter coming to us, which is I believe that's one of the I forget how late into the episode we have to wait for Agent Carter.
Let's see.
This season is definitely focused on the guest stars they could get, and on who was big in the last season, because Agent Carter is now Agent Carter is the main character of the What If series,
right? And absolutely the right choice.
And
like What If is where I get to go to see my Haley Atwell Captain America, and that's the shit.
They actually got Cate Blanchett in a booth. I feel like Hela got a lot more. Like, Hela has her own episode, but then she pops up a lot in the other. She pops up for a minute in 1602 as the Queen, and then again in the finale as reflecting that learning mercy type thing. Although that one felt more like a fuck you to Strange, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So the third episode that fell on Christmas Eve is What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas, where I love episodes like this where you watch like a whole Avengers type thing, but from like like Happy's perspective kind of shit. Only that they make this entire thing a Die Hard rip.
Yep, absolutely.
And also you get to watch Happy inadvertently become a fucking Hulk. And I love Happy's Hulk, and I love that it comes up later. These things start to carry forward. It's weird.
Yeah, now that we've established that in one, it's not so weird if we bring it up in the 1602. thing.
Because I think this is the universe that must slam into theirs. So yeah, it's a wonderful episode. You just basically get to watch Happy do It's a Wonderful Life at Stark's Christmas party, I believe. Yeah, Avengers holiday party.
It also
with
shows
Justin
me
Hammer.
where the animation kind of falls. The animation is close to being what it needs to be as far as for the fights.
Not Van-Pires bad,
Well, it's 3D animation, and it's halfway in between Clone Wars, which I find to be stiff and weird, and I hate it, and like stuff like Arcane or Nimona on Netflix, where it's smoother and it feels like what I really need for a animation to work. And the fights in here work. There might be a little stiff or whatever, but they still are dynamic enough to show me every once in a while a thing I haven't seen before, which is really cool. But this episode, they keep showing, like, they show Sam Rockwell dance twice. And I'm like, your animation doesn't support this.
No.
Not this weird
No,
level
the second
of,
time is a flex that they shouldn't try. Of like, no, you failed once. Don't, doing it more is not helping.
Because you can tell, like, there's something missing in that dance as far as,
and once I noticed it there, I started noticing it on all the, like the honest, like, their ego doesn't quite, sometimes it catches Kurt Russell, but most of the time it doesn't. It's a handsome ego, but there's just something not quite Russell-y about it.
They're trying to marry the cinematic with the MCU's actual look, the live action look, with an animated CG thing, and I guess I would prefer if they just fully made it more animated and anime style.
Yeah, or even I think about like something like, I don't want it to look like Waking Life, but I think about how eerily they could capture like actor pauses and real like you really felt like it was Downey Jr. or felt like it was Keanu, like in these weird roles, and we've seen animation just nail that since here. I don't know. I would have rather, the style's not quite there. It's still a little machined. Like it feels
And I don't know if
boxy or computer.
I don't know if they're ever gonna like, this is the style they've seemed to have chosen, and I'm not sure if they're ever gonna really fix that. That feels like putting up more money into it than they obviously need to. Because this is, I'm not sure what the reception is for this, but if it's the same as the first one, it's also just a proving ground for ideas that is.
Yeah. No, like finding out that, holy shit, do people want Agent Carter to be Captain Carter? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that episode was great. We've also got What If Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster, which we talked about, and you would think that would lead to a Planet Hulk style gladiator battle with Iron Man, and nope, leads to pod racing.
Now, this is one of the rare instances where I wish it would go further in the we don't give a shit direction, because obviously, like, him landing earlier on the planet wouldn't make it a death race. Like, that's not how it works. But also, I'm like, God damn it, now I can only wish that rather than these gladiators, nameless gladiators watching this death race, the death race is cool. It actually is neat. But I'm like, oh, I kind of want these all to be Marvel characters. Maybe not maybe not the main characters, but I want to see what Hawkeye's vehicle is like. And
dude, it's no dumber than anything else. Like, I want a car-obsessed Beyonder type to bring all of the heroes to his planet and have pit crews assigned to them that build them themed cars that are powered off their powers when they drive.
Absolutely. And I'm like,
that is, as I have read a lot of comics, I hand to God that's as logical as anything else.
Sure.
And I want to see fucking Mario Kart wacky races with all of the Marvel characters. I want a Hulkmobile, Peter Parked car, all of it.
But they're still trying to do this half like realist of like, what if a certain event happened, and like, they're really trying to make that poignant, like, they're trying to make it into a point of decision making and what your decisions affect the universe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's neat and everything, but every once in a while it seems like 1602. What choice was that? Like, Cap just hit an Infinity Gem wrong. That wasn't really a choice. That didn't really fit your theme.
Right.
But you wanted to do an Avengers that was 16, like Avengers, but they were in the past. And I
think it's that they have to choose to work together to get out of the problem when they're fighting. They're in, because like that when they're infighting, but even then they don't really.
Because there's a level of justification that I'm like, I'm not sure if I would prefer. I think I would prefer they just did it and didn't feel the need to bend over backwards to make it like, well, this is still the MCU, but from this branch of choices. I'm like, just have them be death races and don't explain it to me.
Yeah.
I don't really care. But then again, there's some of them that I do care what the choice was, as far as like what Hela and that one. But this one was also supposed to be, they pitched it as, hey, you remember that episode we didn't quite complete in season 1 with Gamora and why she's part of the multiverse heroes, even though she didn't have an episode to herself, and honestly doesn't do that much in the finale either.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was like, well, here's basically how she got picked, and I'm like, no, whatever story you had for her was different because this is a Tony Stark story. She barely features.
It's still not hers.
She barely features, and in no way does it make you feel like the watcher would choose her.
No. There's a lost episode there somewhere. This is not it.
Yeah, this is like a half of that or something. It also showed us the trend of a couple, like the first half of these that felt more in this of one too many characters. Because Valkyrie is in the death race, and I'm like...
Almost every one of these episodes had one person who just didn't... Like, Black Panther just gets lost in the old Avengers fighting
Yeah, by the end of the episode, they always have a moment of like, and I was also here. And I'm like, right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were. Sure.
Yeah, I guess you were.
Good job,
sure.
Buddy. We had the 5th episode, What If Captain Carter Fought the Hydra Stomper, which this one just flips the script on, like picks up the loss of Steve. And I really liked we got 2 things out of this. We got I'm reminded how much I like Steve Rogers and Agent Carter, Captain Carter. And this was fun. We also get Hydra Steve in a way that didn't annoy the living shit out of me the way it did in the comics. And we get also all of the absolutely great Cagney and Lacey type shit between Captain Carter and Natasha, which I love all of that.
Absolutely. Well, it's a bit of a retread. And they go after
the Red Room.
It's an amalgam. What they've seemed to have done in this season, especially, is mix 2 movies together. Like Hela is Shang-Chi and Thor, and the Captain Carter is the Winter Soldier plus the Black Widow movie.
Yeah. And it really works, man. I fucking loved this episode. Both the action of it and the sappy, hard on its sleeveness of it really worked for me.
Well, I really liked the Black Widow being her Falcon, and even just the reversal of like just the scenes of like driving up to pick up Black Widow instead, and I'm like, I'm not one for running around in circles, and just getting their digs in.
Yeah.
At and just, you know, where they make even slight changes is kind of fascinating and interesting. Although they don't do themselves, like, I feel like they're teasing fan fiction writers of like, that was a big thing in the first season was the Black Widow and Agent Carter like ship thing going on, and in this season there's even more of it, and it's like, yeah, it feels like that someone in the writers' room wants to promote this, and yet it never really gets off the ground.
Right. It's not even like it's off screen. Like it never fully takes off at all. And I want it so bad.
They are, she is like, Steve has come back. So there's this whole, like, I would write that into the story as far as Black Widow being kind of like, oh,
Steve has earned this, Nick. let Captain Carter and Natasha date and Steve date too. They're all out of time. They can be poly.
Well, I was thinking like out of the characters that could be cut. Like, I like that Bucky is alive and is a senator or whatever. But honestly, I went an embarrassing a long amount of time in that episode without realizing that was Bucky. And I was like, oh,
same. Even after they told me, I keep forgetting again. I'm like, oh, that's right, you're Bucky.
And I know what they're trying to do, and the parallel should be there. And I'm like, oh, but honestly, like anything that's not Peggy Carter centric in that story is like, Yeah, I guess I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
And the same with I cannot believe they actually got Tessa Thompson back to play Valkyrie, considering how little she does in her own episode and in any of the others.
I am with you, though. I swear Tessa Thompson is doing, like, when she's voice acting herself, she's doing a voice.
Her voice sounds weird. I'm not sure if it's the voice acting thing that, like, I feel like she thinks she puts on a voice when she does Valkyrie. And
yeah, like if I told you, no, talk like you. No, talk like yourself, though.
No, but
talk normal. Like you do your accent. I think you do it weird, you know? And I feel like maybe that's what she's doing. Because she sounds a little more serious.
Yes, yeah, she has a little bit of the Nightwing from Harley Quinn thing going on. As
just
far
serious enough. I think you're too serious.
But yeah, for the Carter thing, having that final fight in the like testing facility, like the training facility of like.
Oh yeah, with all of the fucking widows and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Notice no Elena. Like again, I'm actually surprised that they didn't throw Elena in there.
Yeah,
but I'm
you
like,
get
actually,
Melina, but yeah,
but you know what? Yeah,
Rachel Weisz.
Don't take the fucking voice, or don't take the focus off, even more so than what's going on here.
If you're gonna have Florence Pugh, just have Florence Pugh, but don't take any focus off Peggy and Natasha here. Even Lake Bell, like I honestly, I love Lake Bella's Natasha. She's fine.
Right. Well, also they basically just connect the Hydra Stomper with the Red Room, and it kind of makes sense as far as
cool.
As like, oh yeah, why was there a whole why was Bucky in Civil War part of a separate Russian brainwashing spec op?
Right, not Hydra. Like they're their own animal. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, oh yeah, like had the MCU been smarter about it and done the Black Widow movie earlier, that was something that they could easily have connected with it.
Right.
And now feels like in What If, there's a lot of, I like that in What If there does seem to be like making up for lost opportunities as far as like, oh yeah, okay, now we can do this thing.
And in terms of connective stuff, this is where this one really starts to connect the whole, we started getting an inkling at the kind of season wide thing going on in this, as much as it is in this What If, because at the end of this, just when we think everything's calm again, of course it's not, a red magic thing opens up underneath Captain Carter, and she gets pulled into another dimension, and obviously the 1602 dimension, and we get Wanda Merlin.
Based on the subtitles, yeah.
Yes.
And Roger's hood, which is pretty good.
Yes. But we'll get back to that one later, because what we get immediately following it is a couple of really fun episodes. One with characters we've seen, the What If Hela Found the 10 Rings, which was awesome, which we were talking about. And then one with brand new characters. What if Kahori reshaped the world? Yeah.
And I remember looking at you like, who's Kahori? Like, is that someone I should know?
Brand new. A young Mohawk woman and her brother are being hunted by conquistadors who are looking for the Fountain of Youth. And they find Kahori and her brother, they find instead this lake that is a portal to Skyworld, where you get powers and immortality, but they can't get home. Basically because they can't reach the portal.
Right.
And she just straight up like, I really dug this episode. Like, it's entirely in, I assume, Mohawk. Like, it's not, there's an English version, but it's not the main one that played. And I really loved her looking at her people and like, hey, we're not dead. This is not the fucking afterlife. We fell through a portal. It's right there. Like, I'm going back through the Stargate, you dicks.
Yeah, and no one else there.
I love it.
They've been there so long, they don't have anything to go. Like,
right.
They're definitely.
I do get that of like, no, most of my cousins and shit are here. Everybody else would be dead by now. Yeah. Like, I like that because, well, it's been forbidden for generations, and they all seem surprised. Like, the first guy that she meets when she falls through is like, it's forbidden. It's a forbidden lake now. No, that makes sense. Yeah. I know a couple people a year were lost when I was there. Did that not happen anymore? Huh. Yeah, explains why nobody's falling out of the sky.
Explains why there's no newbies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one is like the barest connection to the Marvel, the cinematic universe, is that the Tesseract got destroyed. Ragnarok happened earlier, and the Tesseract got fucking punched to Earth in a more like crater meteor type way, and created a portal to wherever the fuck that is. Some sort of like, I like that it's basically like, okay, what if Asgard but Native American mythology?
Yeah.
And they get kind of like space-based
They're getting
powers.
like kind of like Tesseract powers, because they've got like blue energy telekinesis, and they can like move super fast and seem to be pretty fucking strong and invulnerable. Later on, she gets shot to shit by Strange and manages to survive it.
Yeah, because this is another one of those characters that's gonna show up again. I actually liked the Conquistador fight at the end was really cool. And hit like the main bad guy. I don't even know who that, like, he doesn't even I don't know if he has a name. Doesn't really matter. Him getting like trampled into the sand is a great ending of that. Of her, her backup has arrived and is now running and destroying the ships in the background, and just the sheer multitude of them is like they're so I think I like the fact that they're so dismissive of him just walking all over him, and how how the parallel of how the Spanish were just going to like, okay, well we have the divine right to rule over these savages.
Yeah, no, they first, when you see them in the woods, you think that they're coming to like help her stop him as the big bad. And yeah, by having them literally just come flooding out of the woods and trample him into the dirt, it's this immediate like, oh no, man, you're not even our big bad. Now that we're all here, you can't even be the villain in our movie. And they proceed to run like every Spaniard out, and then run back to Spain. And the smackdown with the Queen of Spain is awesome.
They kill, like, it sounds like they killed all those fucking, like, because sometimes in the car, like, since it's a cartoon, it feels like it's extra special. We don't kill anybody, but then again,
Queen Isabella's like being told like nobody's come back.
Nobody has come back, and I'm like, okay, so they fucking at least, if not kill, like, they destroyed those ships and killed most of those guys. And yeah, that smackdown with the I mean, honestly, if someone walks out of a portal and is blue glowy, maybe don't talk shit.
Right. Man, because she jerks the queen up out of that throne, blows the throne up, throws her to the ground, and I honestly feel like it's a statement more to the room than to the queen, but just says, we will make peace or none of your people will live. Or something along those lines.
Well, it's basically just the repeat of it, of like, okay, I'm going to say this one more time. For the room, for the cheap seats, we're going to make peace and we're going to make this work. Right? And either this queen's gonna make it work or the next one will. Who's next in line?
Right. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. And then, of course, at the end, Doctor Strange Supreme appears out of a portal and says he's been searching for Kahori, pulls her away, and we see her pop up again a little bit later. After those two, we get our What If the Avengers Assembled in 1602 episode, which I loved the 1602 comics. They were always cool. This is not quite that. But it is fun seeing everybody in Marvel, like all the Yellow Jacket suits and Roger's hood and Sir Nicholas Fury. This
is the closest to what I want out of What If, I think, is that they basically tie it to the Infinity War fight, and how
I kind of dug that. Yeah,
and how Steve basically hits the time gem wrong.
Yeah, smacks a time gem with a vibranium shield edge. Of course, some weird shit happened.
Which makes me think of just like Jesus. There's a lot of vibranium and infinity gems in the multiverse. Like, I'm surprised that this doesn't happen more often. Apparently, right. Like if you just hit
like. I would take that as a line from The Watcher of like, see, this is why we just don't get involved. Do you know how much truly weird shit, like whatever you think weird shit is, trust me, I've seen weird shit. Do you know what happens when adamantium claws nick a soul stone?
Well, I also
I
kind of
do.
like the connecting it to, because the one before this was the Hela story. What if Hela found the 10 rings, and her finding like her mercy in that, and so we are ready to see a benevolent Hela queen in this one, because she starts off as the queen before she gets sucked up into the
Right. She's like, I'm
whatever
about
it
to go
is.
fix that. Yeah, like we see her like right across the multiverse of like, I'm about to fix shit.
And also Loki, doing Shakespeare and nothing else throughout the entire like.
Yeah. And it's not even that Loki is Shakespeare. He recognized that he's in a time where Shakespeare's alive, and he just became an actor to take all the lead roles in Shakespeare plays.
Yeah.
Like when he's writing the thing, he's like, Willie's written another one. I mean, sure, the play's called Othello, but it's really about Iago. That's my role.
that feels, yeah, that that's where, for me, this is where What If lives, in the showing where everybody is in their different little variants, and how they are, how they're different but also kind of the same. And of course, we have to put Carter on, the world has to be against Agent Carter, just like it has to be against Captain America. So basically, because she failed to save the queen, King Thor is like the serious Thor from the Branagh movies, the one no one likes, is like, hey, bring me her in alive. She's not saving things like Wanda Merlin said she would. Man, Wanda Merlin takes a back seat to this, as far as
she really does. I honestly forgot she was in the episode till she turns up at the end, about the time that we looked at the subtitles and went, is she called Wanda Merlin?
There is also a problem of when you have characters like that, like, well, couldn't she just fix everything? But seeing her going to Tony Stark, that is a 1602 inventor, and just loving talking with her about like quantum mechanics, and even just made up stuff. Like she says flux capacitor at one point, and it's just like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Oh, say your nonsense words to me. I love it.
And I'm like, Tony is like, I don't know why, but this fucking, yeah, like that. I love when you say that shit. And also him drinking grain alcohol.
Right. Is this grain alcohol at 7 a.m.? Yeah, it's really invigorating, isn't it? Like, oh
also,
God,
it'll help me finish my latest invention, the thingamabob that does the thing.
And like a screw pops off of it. That's decorative.
That's decorative. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. No, I loved everything about this episode. Was a blast. And then it leads into a really fucking satisfying finale, in my opinion. What if Strange Supreme intervened? We get what I feel like is a perfect read on the Strange Supreme character and kind of the Stephen Strangeness of him. We have Strange Supreme, which is the demon absorbing crazy ass Doctor Strange that's turned up throughout What If, kind of their other poster child, I feel. And he recruits Captain Carter, thinking that she'll get it, that like, fuck the Watcher, you got to intervene.
Right.
And only he's not quite telling her what he wants to intervene for. The reason he really thinks she'll get it is that she misses Steve. And so she'll understand that he's about to literally move heaven and earth to bring back his original universe.
Yeah.
Where Christine died. Which, dude, nobody but you cares this much about this. And wow, do you?
It feels like and this is one of those episodes that I'm like, I don't know if we should have had a 2-parter, or if this season, or does this series actually need to be 10 episodes? And they're because there's the emotions of it work, but the the logic of what is happening is so fast.
Holy shit.
He is apparently collecting universe killers, which is like, okay, I can see that, where you're starting to like, if you're gonna start to guard the multiverse, and you're so
it helps his short con on her, the lie that like, hey, I'm recruiting, I am it, like he's head of the Guardians of the Multiverse somehow. Yeah, and it kind of makes sense, but that's total bullshit. That's not what he's doing.
Well, also, it's like, why did he recruit Kahori? Because it feels like Kahori is on has, since we've seen her with Strange, has been on a couple adventures.
Right. but at some point seems to have outlived her usefulness to him, or realized what he's doing or something. But I don't know. Like you're right. That's a whole 10th episode. Like that should have been the 9th episode.
Yeah.
Kahori figuring it out and then him recruiting Carter.
I feel like we missed a whole new multiverse team before Strange grab, like, because they say like he also needs righteous heroes, and they never explain why they need ultimate villains and ultimate heroes in order to go into this forge to create his universe again.
I would have done 2 episodes out of this. So episode 9 would have been what if Strange Supreme intervened, and it would have been him using Kahori and her figuring out that he's only intervening to save Christine, and it's not what he says.
Right.
And that turn would have caused him to go get Carter to replace her and start by killing her. Like, so he's going to go lie to Carter and set her up to kill Kahori, which is what he doesn't. And that episode would have been called What If Captain Carter Intervened? And we'd see, and we'd give the same title, and we'd see the difference in what if you intervene selfishly versus selflessly.
Selflessly. Yes, that's good. Oh, that's really good. Yes, I like, because then you could have, rather than it just being one line of dialogue, you could really explain like how Kahori knows his moves, and because it's like, oh, she'll see me coming a mile away, because he has to go get Peggy Carter to find her, and it's like,
because he's got this thing called the Forge they don't get time to explain. I mean, there's not going to be any explanation. It's comics, but like you don't even get like a comics amount of time to explain.
No.
Like what the fuck the Forge does. All we know is that he's feeding everything to it, like just throwing people in it, and somehow it's going to reboot his universe.
Well,
not reboot, resurrect.
Right, and like you said, there's even a point where the drama of it would have worked better had we seen more of Carter, because she takes a long time to side with Kahori in that beam struggle that they do.
Oh man, and I mean it's not like she takes 30 minutes or anything. I'm just saying like it should have been a no-brainer.
It would work better if we had a whole episode where Strange was pitching the Guardians of the Multiverse idea and was really trying to sell it, and then because really like they barely spend any time with him hiding that ball.
Right. And it's, man, I've seen a few things recently where from Marvel, same with the Marvels of like, I don't want to say anything should go longer. Man, y'all could have took 15 more minutes here.
But as far as emotionally how it works is actually like, I'm like, oh yeah, this still gets it across.
Yeah, no, it still lands. It's like the end of Loki. Like, I don't know what those time strands were, but I turned into a tree. I get it. Cool.
Like,
yeah.
Opposed beliefs in how to hero. And him, like, I love that Strange just doesn't really get Peggy, like, oh, I saw you intervene for that world and save it, so you should be on like my side of this.
Yeah,
like,
and you miss your Steve, so like he offers her like a last temptation of Christ thing, and thinks like she'll get it, and like no, it lays out what I love about the Captain America stories is like villains pitch a perfectly reasonable temptation that would get anybody, and it's because they're Steve or because they're Peggy that they're like,
nah, man. No. And it's like, she's done this multiple times already, Strange. I don't know why.
Right.
Like, maybe you haven't seen that.
It's only because cheaters think everybody cheats, man. Like, Strange can't see how anybody else would think differently than him. It's that arrogance. I feel like this show got a really great read on all these characters. And we also get to see a couple of things. I'm always a sucker for things I haven't seen before. When Kahori teleports Black Panther Killmonger out of his armor.
Yeah.
Like he's standing there in armor that is straight up going to whoop their asses. And she just like, whoop, and puts him like 3 feet above it. And I'm like, yes, man, that is the way to handle that shit. Like, I realize that like the gym that runs Juggernaut's armor probably blocks magic like that. But that kind of shit is hilarious to me. Like people, facing somebody out of their armor.
Sure.
is always good.
The easy solution to
yeah, it is the Indiana Jones gun. I love it. I love it.
And I really like the multiverse like prison break they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know why they mentioned like he's also taking righteous heroes, because I guess they wanted to put some heroes in there too. Those all could have been villains.
Yeah.
Like,
and again, with an extra episode to explain, like, Kahori going, I don't quite understand why are we collecting them? Oh, don't worry about it. It's definitely not a battery. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there's a whole separate room that like, oh, you're not actually the first multiverse
Right.
heroes I found. Eventually they all kind of figure it out, and I collect them too.
Yeah.
Like that's a side thing. There's a whole episode where I'm like, Stephen Strange wants to build the Forge as ethically as he can, so he takes the world-ending universes, like he's helping the other
That's
universes.
not enough. Yeah.
And like, oh, but I'm helping them by taking away, I'm saving that universe, and then I'm just gonna use their lives to recreate my own. It works for everybody.
And that could have like him knowing that he's got to feed other things to this to get enough energy to reboot or restart his universe, but he's going to start from the bad, and then that's not enough. So he's going to move on to collecting righteous heroes. These universes are dying anyway. What's it hurt? And then at some point, you could really dangle out there for the audience a little more what's eventually going to do it, which is that he's got it within him already. If it was selfless, if you just wanted Christine back, you could do it right now.
But you want to be with Christine.
You want to be there.
And that takes a different level.
And that you're going to, that like the people he's sacrificing are so that he doesn't sacrifice himself. And like with an extra episode, I can't believe I'm advocating for things to be longer. What are we doing heading into 2024 here?
I don't think 10 episodes is prohibitively long either. So
No, it's 30 more minutes, and this season would have been. So that speaks to how much I enjoyed this season. That I'm asking for 30 more minutes to make it perfect.
Right. Well, honestly,
or nearly perfect. I still won't like the Nova one.
I think some of these other episodes, it's hard to say because some of the other episodes, I'm like, maybe just make the episodes longer, and still keep it at 9.
Right.
But some of the episodes work as just that episodic, and
right. And I kind of like how they chug through it. Like it forces them to not dwell on anything and just clip along.
Right.
But I'd get that. I'd make it feel longer by cutting one character out of most of these.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I think I would make instead. I would make that simpler. Like make some of them simpler and take out a character from some of them, and then add another 10th episode. But I think if we have 2 seasons at 9 episodes, then I think it's over. But the real big moment at the finale that I really liked was because we've seen Hela learn mercy or whatever. She's the first character that starts we're falling into a fucking forge and we're going back up and down because of these other forces that are like piloting like us, and we don't really have any agency. But she gives up her power in order to give a fuck you to the Sorcerer Supreme that captured her. And it inspires everyone else around to give them hell with one L. Yeah,
that's a great, and which is just a killer line to yell. Also, she throws that helmet, which we've now seen like, is kind of her Mjolnir, and then of course we like it starts the on your left of it like. This all of the magic objects in Marvel start falling at their feet.
Everyone as they're flying decide to like, you know what, fuck this guy.
Yeah. When the 10 rings, like he throws them as he's falling, like it's just everybody like, well, I'm fucked anyway, but like it's a last. I'm gonna throw my guns to. Oh man,
I think some of them like they think they're gonna die, and some of them are like, I think some of them even do hit the forge before Kahori actually teleports them, but I'd have to go back and watch.
No, she loses some before she's like that. Oh wait, I can do that, and that rarely do those time out right. Usually, when people want to have a character can save a bunch of people, it's placed a little late. Where when you're walking out of the movie theater later, you're going, "Fuck, did she just let a bunch of people die? Why didn't she do that at the start?" Well,
this one was like it was a tug of war for a minute, which I thought was pretty cool.
And so like this really worked. I was thinking about that of like, oh man, I know. She's the kind of hero that's going to lay awake nights and wish that she'd done that sooner, but I don't think she could have watching it. It was good.
But also this final fight is going to be one of those that it's really cool, really fun, emotionally works, especially with the, all the, I guess if they were also heroes because there was like a Hulk Valkyrie or whatever, but like had they all been villains, I thought that would also have like sold more as that the villains were giving a final fuck you to it's a weird line to just show that like, hey, he's collecting righteous heroes too. It felt like a fucking
Right.
added in so they could add in other characters that aren't technically villains. And I don't think I
because
would
I
have
was
added
thinking like, and I don't know if they just didn't want to commit to like she frees like
Well,
100
a bunch of
the
people show
worst
up in the
villains.
fight, but only certain people actually interact with them, like actually have a line of
Right.
dialogue or have interaction. It's Zombie Wanda, Hela, Surtur, Thanos, Killmonger.
Yeah.
They're all villains. It feels like it was a multiverse prison for villains, and someone changed it at the very last minute.
Yeah.
And it's just said righteous heroes, because that doesn't quite gel with
Those are
everything.
righteous heroes.
Because then if it's a righteous hero, why weren't any of the heroes one of the ones that threw their arms first? I mean, I know
Right.
narratively why. It's because it's Hela. We just saw her do that.
Well, she's now a righteous hero a little bit to us, or could be,
Or has the potential to be. Also, you have to like, hey, can any of those people that are falling, can any of them fly? Like, didn't I see Valkyrie Hulk flying? Also, with any fight with Infinity Gems is like, wait, can't Peggy do fucking anything? Or
right. It always like I was thinking that in the middle of the fight of like sometimes it sucks that these gems fall to like the Captain Carters or the Captain Americas because they're gonna punch with it.
yeah,
Like inevitably they're gonna punch with it. Like if this fell to there are Marvel heroes and villains that if those gems fell to, they'd sit down, think it through, and change the universe.
right.
Like, though honest to God, there's a moment where Killmonger gets Thanos, and for just a moment I thought he snapped his fingers and was just on the wrong side of the bet.
Right.
And that would be hilarious to me.
Yeah, that is kind of funny.
And like I could see Thanos like going, "That's fair." like he's a maniac. Like he really wanted the half thing, so it would have cracked me up if he'd been like, "Well, that's how it goes."
Right. Well, I also do like the punching the evil out of Strange for a second so that he can do his
Oh,
ultimate
man.
sacrifice.
Yeah, because he grabs onto his own like evil stink and like pulls it down into the goo Terminator style.
And the ending is a cliffhanger with a Watcher like, hey, want to take the scenic route back home? With Captain Carter. And it kind of makes me, I kind of like that, but also I'm like, dude, Kahori went back to her universe, and as far as she knows, you're dead. You don't want even like,
Let her
you know, have a final thing of like, hey, see you later or whatever. And also it makes me think like, okay, whoever's setting up for the Peggy and Natasha thing doesn't really care about it in the end game, because Captain Carter gets fucking dragged into what seems like hell for Black Widow.
You might want to let Natasha know that you are alive.
And in no way does Captain Carter like, hey, do you want to take the scenic room going home? Like, there's no urgency getting back to her time period because people would be worried about her.
Yeah.
Although with the time stone, I don't even know if she's going to come back and time is the same.
It's like Doctor Who, like inevitably. So you're in a time machine that can also move through space, and somehow you never manage to go back right when you left.
Right.
Ever.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what that's about.
I do like that even the Watcher is like, hey, do you want to go back to your time period? Or no, like that wasn't on the table in season 1, and I think she just is done like asking about it.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
no,
the Watcher's
you gotta go
like,
back.
I've seen ahead. Can I stop asking her this now? Okay.
Yeah, because the Watcher is also taken by surprise by the multiverse shenanigans going on, but doesn't actually get involved this season.
Yeah. Well, it turns out he doesn't have to get involved. I like that the Watcher here is infuriating, and the characters call him on it repeatedly.
Well, they also, what I would not have done was make the Watcher kind of right in the end.
Yeah, that is annoying. Like, oh, see, I didn't need to. The power was in you all along, Dorothy.
I kind of thought Carter would have been like the new head of the multiverse initiative, because there is a argument to be had of like, Stephen Strange wants to, but they don't actually, because of him resurrecting his own universe, and they don't actually do the him taking multiverse and universe-ending threats off the board. They play lip service to it, but they don't actually show it. They don't actually show the other side of the argument of over-managing the multiverse.
Right.
Right. But I'm like, I wanted there to be Captain Carter to be like, look, I'm not saying we fucking fascist make every universe the same or whatever, but there's definitely something between hands off completely and what Strange is doing.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you wanted a 10th episode called "What If Captain Carter Intervened?"
Absolutely. Like your idea there. Honestly, it's what they're trying to sell there in the end because of what the temptation strain. Like they're selling
and her riding along as a companion to the Watcher.
They're selling their two ideologies. They really are in that last episode, and I need an episode to show Strange's full ideology. We got Captain Carter's with 1602. We showed how she gets involved in a multiverse and what she feels is how to do the right thing in a hard situation. And I wanted to see the real parallel. Yeah, like that. I think the biggest criticism I have of this season is that it's one episode shy of really selling what feels to be its main message.
Yeah, it's very close. Like I wanted to be slightly longer, and when we'd have it down. But overall, I was thrilled with I forgot how much I liked season 1 of What If, and I really liked this season. Found myself really enjoying it.
No, I'm actually excited. I want to go back and rewatch season 1, I think.
I agree.
And, see how it differs.
Because there's been a lot of Marvel in between then and now, just between those two seasons, and I'm kind of interested to see what did they look at and go, oh, that fucking worked, double down.
This one felt like, you know how the first season had the Watcher in the sky in the background a lot, and he narrated a lot? This one feels like they kind of faded back on that.
Yeah, he's more of a legit character who just shows up occasionally.
Sometimes he narrates at the beginning and then never again. Like the Kahori story doesn't
just
have
dips out.
Yeah. At least that's what I'm remembering from the first season. He was more, but then again, that first season was building him up as a character as well to really get involved at the final part of it. Oh, well, also no end credit stingers except for one.
Oh, that was infuriating.
And the one involves one of my favorite parts though, which is Melted Grandmaster, and it's did we find out, is that Jeff Goldblum?
Viscous. It is Goldblum.
Goldblum is doing an impression of himself, and whoever's writer idea was it that Grandmaster gets melted by Topaz's stick. Only when he gets melted, he's kind of into it. Melting. It kind of feels actually good.
Viscous.
Genius.
Yeah.
Whoever in the writer's room decided that
kind of container.
Goldblum is kind of in, like Goldblum should play being melted, that like he's kind of into it, is seriously the most on-brand thing is the most Goldblum thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely flawless choice, no notes, just fantastic. This is why you pay the man the big money.
And yeah, just a lot of, even if you aren't a huge fan of the multiverse and you feel like it's like light and fluffy, there's some great, really light and fluffy moments to, that I feel really hit a character or hit a storyline or parallel it. Like Carter, like the Carter, hey, do you want to tell me about the Steve from your universe? No, I don't think I will.
No, I don't think I will.
And it hits,
that was great.
It hits different, but almost exactly the right level, emotional level as the same part of it. Hulk smite will smash at thee. Hulk's speech pattern is the same as everyone else's in 1602.
But also still Hulk. Yeah. He's the man in the iron mask. I love that.
What's his name? The guy that has the 10 rings being kind of into Hela because he could beat the shit out of him. And I'm like, yeah, that's on brand for that guy. He likes women that kick the shit out of him.
Buddy. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, there's lots of little choices throughout this.
I bet you that actor didn't realize that was going to be the character thing that carried over to his multiple stories, was that he has a defeat kink.
Right. So what's my character's motivation? Dude, you are horny for an ass whooping. Okay. From Kate Blanchett. Okay.
Like even when she shows back up, like, oh, hey, you're back here to save. Like, I was back here to destroy you, you dummy. Like, oh, I bet you were. Ew. Why are you so weird?
Like it's like all with the season where John Oliver kept hitting on Adam Driver.
Oh
like,
yeah,
destroy me, you
you Blanchett voiced goddess. And honestly, I get it. Like, it's not like I don't get it, but
oh yeah, no, I'm not into it. Well, that about wraps it up for us. You can tune in next week. Definitely see if we found Randy or what we found in our search for him. And be sure to check us out at patreon.com/tvdudes to hear us talk about Van-Pires. Yes. And until next time,
mission ignition!